Second meditation. Principal motives for our devotion to Saint Joseph. This honor is he worthy of whom the king has a mind to honor. God, God wishes that we should honor Saint Joseph, whom himself has so much honored, and whose worship he had made inseparable from that to the divine infancy and the most holy Virgin. The Church invites us to unite with the inhabitants of heaven and all the choirs of Christians in paying him a homage worthy of his prerogatives. Our dearest interest makes it a pleasing obligation to us to pray to him with so much favor and great confidence. It is above all in this honor, in this worship, in these prayers, that devotion to this great saint consists. It has its chief motives the will of God. It has as its chief motives the will of God, the practice of the church, and our own true interest. God wishes that we should honor Saint Joseph, for he himself has greatly honored him. How greatly did he distinguish him from other men by anticipatory graces, by the sublime office he entrusted to him, and by the place he has given him in heaven. Who among the patriarchs and prophets are so favored by the Lord? Who is the angel, however elevated he may be in glory, who would not esteem it an invaluable happiness to fulfill the duties he fulfilled, to represent upon earth God Himself in regard to His adorable Son and the Most Holy Virgin? What saint after Mary is placed in heaven nearer to Jesus Christ? To that divine Son who makes all glory and splendor of the inhabitants of the New Jerusalem. God has then greatly honored Saint Joseph. He wishes that in imitation of him, we should honor the great saint with a worship worthy of his prerogatives. He acts towards him as Pharaoh did towards the patriarch Joseph, whom St. Bernard and a great number of saints consider as a figure of the saint who was to bear the same name. Can I find one wiser? Said the great king to him, and one unto thee? Thou shalt be over my house. Only in the kingly throne will I be above thee. And Pharaoh took his ring from his own hand, and gave it into his hand. And he put upon him a robe of silk, and put a chain of gold up around his neck. And he made him go up to his second chariot, the crier proclaiming that all should bow their knee before him, and they should know he was made governor over the whole land of Egypt. That was a figure of the manner in which God acts towards Saint Joseph. He has honored him, he has presented him to the veneration of nations, and he has established him over all his house. That is to say, over all mankind. For Jesus, the new Adam, and Mary, the new Eve, represented all mankind. He has likewise given him all power to communicate to us the graces we require, so that he says to us, as Pharaoh did to his subjects, go to Joseph, ask of Joseph. It is from his beneficent hand you will receive the succor you pray for. We ought then to honor Saint Joseph, because God has honored him. We ought to do so likewise, because our devotion to him is most closely united to devotion to the child Jesus and his Virgin Mother, so that we cannot excel in this last without having that we cannot excel in this last without having that in a high degree. Let us remember what St. Therese teaches on these subjects. For my part, she says, I do not know how anyone can think of the Queen of Angels and of the care that which she took of Jesus in his childhood, without thanking St. Joseph for the succor he gave during this time to both mother and son. Let us likewise say, how is it possible to contemplate the divine word in the mysteries of its adorable infants, without paying a tribute of praise without offering a worship of honor to him, who is his protector, his guardian, his adopted father. No, we cannot conceive true devotion to the child Jesus and his most holy mother to exist without a great devotion to Saint Joseph. If we truly love the infant God, if we enter into the spirit of the mysteries he has accomplished, if we venerate the most holy Virgin, his mother, we shall love, we shall honor Saint Joseph, who was the head of the Holy Family, who was besides so much honored by Jesus and Mary himself. Our devotion to Saint Joseph has likewise as the intentions of the Holy Church, the infallible interpreter of the will of Jesus Christ in our regard. The Church wishes that wherever the praises of Jesus and Mary are heard, those of Saint Joseph should be heard likewise, and that the worship of that great saint spread more and more. She exhorts the faithful to have recourse to him in all their necessity, persuaded that they will be most assuredly succored when they invoke him with piety and confidence. She encourages everything that increases this devotion and opens for that purpose the treasury of her indulgences. Thus, we see how, under the inspiration of the spouse of Jesus Christ, the worship of Saint Joseph is propagated in our days. How many chapels and oratories have been raised under his name? How many altars have been raised to his glory? How many confraternities, missions, and undertakings have been placed under his patronage? How many holy images serve to recall the thought of him to the faithful? Finally, our dearest interests make it our duty to be devoted to Saint Joseph. What do we, so weak and miserable, need but a powerful protector, and one full of goodness to us? Is not that in an eminent degree the character of Saint Joseph? To what patron could we have recourse whose prayer could be more efficacious with God than those of Saint Joseph, who by the sanctity of his life contributed so much to the ineffable mystery of the incarnation of the world? What saint after Mary has more power than our divine Saviour, than he who was fed by him, has more power with our divine Saviour, than who than he who was fed by the who fed him by the level of his hands, and who devoted himself without reserve to serve him. We have then in Saint Joseph a most powerful protector, who is moreover full of goodness towards us, and always disposed to succor us. Could it be otherwise, when his heart burns with the same fire of charity as those of Jesus and Mary? How could he be but a most loving friend to us, and most anxious to do us good? He who saw in so sensible a way how much our souls cost to our divine Saviour. How could he be but interested in our salvation? He who devoted himself to procure it for us, and who, laboring with Jesus and for Jesus, mingled his sweat with blood, that was that was to bring about the redemption of the world. Let us renew our confidence in Saint Joseph, and let this sentiment be one of the most lively in our hearts. How could we doubt the powers and goodness of him who was so honored by God, and who was appointed the head of the great Christian family, of him who just by a title is called the protector of the church, the terror of hell, the succor of the afflicted, the patron of the good death, of him from whom we have received, both as Christians and religious, so many proofs of his protection. Let us then have a true devotion to him, and let us honor him by all the means in our power. Let us also cause him to be honored by those who depend on us for instructions. Let us frequently have recourse to his intercession, and imitating the example of God the Father, who entrusts to him what is most precious now in his eyes, Jesus and Mary. Let us commit our soul to him, that he may keep it for heaven. Let us place under his protection our religions, our community, our pupils, and our undertakings, and let us be assured that we shall never invoke him without being heard in the manner most suited to us. O glorious patriarchs, who has so many titles to the veneration of the faithful, I come to prostrate myself at your feet, and to consecrate myself to your service. Receive me, I beseech thee, into the number of your devoted servants, and obtain for me along with a great confidence in your power, the grace of frequently having recourse to your intercession and imploring it. Above all, in times of trial, because to invoke you, O great saints, is to assure a triumph over hell, and to take the true meaning of persevering in the grace of God. We should honor and invoke Saint Joseph, because God Himself had honored him, had appointed him to the care of the family of the Church, and says to us, as Pharaoh formerly did to the Egyptians, "Go to Saint Joseph." We should honor and invoke Saint Joseph, because otherwise we would not have a true devotion to the Holy Infancy and the Most Blessed Virgin. He who venerates the child Jesus, and Mary should also venerate Joseph, the head of the Holy Family. We should honor and invoke Saint Joseph, because such is the spirit of the Church. And finally, because our devotion to him is a true treasury from which to enrich our souls. Let us often sing that Joseph has all the power in heaven, and that he interests himself in a special manner for the members of a congregation consecrated to him. To renew our confidence in Saint Joseph, to consecrate ourselves to his service, to lead our pupils and entertain a great devotion towards this powerful project. Amen. Reflect your patronage, Holy Mother of God. Despite not our prayers and necessities, but deliver us from all dangers. Ever glorious and blessed Virgin Mary. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed are you